As I work on crafting Arthur Morgan's iconic hat from Red Dead Redemption 2, I'd like to take a few moments to reflect on why this hat is so important, not just to Arthur's look, but to his entire story. It may seem like a simple piece of clothing, a cowboy's hat that fits the rugged person of an outlaw, but in truth, it carries far more meaning. In many ways, Arthur Morgan's hat symbolizes his journey, his struggles, and his legacy. Let's start with its role in the game. From the moment we meet Arthur, that hat is there, firmly planted on his head. It becomes a part of his identity, something you associate with him immediately. Whether he is leading the Vanderland gang through the snow-capped mountains, facing down enemies in the wilderness, or having quiet moments of reflection by the campfire, that hat is with him through it all. And while other clothing items can change or be lost, his hat is the one piece that always returns to him. No matter how chaotic or unpredictable life becomes for Arthur, his hat is a constant, reminding us and him of who he is. But the significance of this hat goes much deeper than just being a part of his iconic appearance. Arthur's hat is a connection to his past, a symbol of where he came from and the life he has lived. It originally belonged to his father, Lyle Morgan, a man who by all accounts was far from a good role model. Arthur's relationship with his father was painful. Lyle was abusive and neglectful, a man who caused Arthur more harm than good. In his journal entries, Arthur even reflects on the bitterness he feels toward his father, expressing anger and disappointment in how he was raised. Despite that painful history, Arthur holds on to his father's hat. It's one of the few tangible connections he has to his past, even though it's tied to someone he resents. The fact that Arthur chooses to keep and wear this hat throughout his life speaks volumes about his character. For Arthur, it's not just about the memories of his father, it's about survival. He grew up with very little, and in a world where he had to fight to get by, that hat became a symbol of his resilience. It may have come from a man he despised, but Arthur's life is about taking what he has and making the best of it. In this way, Arthur transforms the meaning of the hat. While it may have once belonged to his father, it now represents something else entirely. It's no longer a reminder of Lyle Morgan's failures, but a symbol of Arthur's strength and independence. By wearing that hat, Arthur is saying,
"My past does not define me. I'm creating my legacy."
it becomes a symbol of his growth as a person. From a young boy forced to survive on the streets, to a man who found a family in Dutch and Hosea, and ultimately, a man seeking redemption in his final days. And then there is the moment that solidifies the hat's significance. Toward the end of the Red Dead Redemption 2, when Arthur knows his time is coming to an end. He is battling tuberculosis, running out of time and energy, and yet he chooses to help John Marston escape, knowing full well that he might not survive the encounter. In one of the most emotional moments of the game, Arthur removes his hat and places it on John's head. It's a powerful and symbolic gesture, more than just a parting gift. In that moment, Arthur is passing the torch to John. He is telling him,
"You have a future, and I want you to live it. Take my hat, take my legacy, and carry it forward."
For Arthur, this act is more than just a farewell. It's a way of giving John the chance to live the life Arthur could never fully have. It's a selfless act, showing that even in his final moments, Arthur's thoughts are on the people he cares about, and on giving them the opportunity to survive, to be better. By giving John his hat, Arthur is passing on more than a piece of clothing. He is passing on the weight of his experiences, his wisdom, and his hopes for John's future. This moment also marks a turning point for John Marston. Up until that point, John had been somewhat reckless, often putting himself before his family. He and Arthur had their differences, with Arthur criticizing John for abandoning his wife Abigail and son Jack for a year. But after Arthur gives John his hat, we see a change in John. He becomes more responsible and more focused on protecting his family. It's as if the hat and everything it represents helps John mature and realize the importance of loyalty sacrifice, and family. In a way, Arthur's head becomes a symbol of John's transformation, guiding him on a path of redemption, just as it did for Arthur. In the broader context of the game, Arthur's head is also a symbol of the noble outlaw. Both Arthur and John are criminals, outlaws living outside the law. But they aren't just heartless thieves or murderers. They live by a code of honor, a sense of morality that sets them apart from others. Arthur may be an outlaw, but he is also a man who cares deeply for those around him, willing to put himself in harm's way to protect his loved ones. The head once owned by a dishonorable man now rests on the heads of men who stand for something greater. Men who fight for family, for loyalty, for redemption. As I work on creating Arthur Morgan's head, I can't help but feel the weight of its symbolic meaning. It's more than just an accessory. It's a representation of Arthur's entire journey. It connects him to his past, shows his growth as a person, and ultimately serves as a symbol of his legacy. The head stands as a reminder that no matter how dark the world may seem, there is always room for redemption. So, as I carefully craft this head, I want to honor what it represents: Arthur's story of resilience, loyalty, and the enduring impact of his life. It's a symbol of survival, transformation, and the legacy one man can leave behind, even in the face of overwhelming odds.